Hello and good morning. Okay. So how was the Microsoft Ignite so far? Was it good? Good, yeah. Okay. Thank you for being here. And thank you for everyone that are watching us online, streaming. My name is Vladimir, and I do migrations. I have been doing migrations almost all my life, and typically in my terminology, migrations that I have been working on were product migrations, let's say specialized in Exchange, so moving Exchange to the new version, or technology migrations or infrastructure migrations, like in my early years when I was moving data and applications, or learning to move in that times from mainframe computers, anyone remembers them, to the Windows-based NT infrastructure and servers. So I created this session just to discuss with you some of these challenges with the technology migrations when we are moving to the cloud. When we were working with our on-premises servers for so many years, and as technology evolves, we upgrade our skills in order to start managing our servers in the cloud and moving our servers in the cloud. So the agenda for this session today. First, what will we do in the Azure cloud? How will our life change? Will it be very different? Will it be challenging to move our services, our applications to Azure? And what are the concepts that we need to understand in order to successfully prepare? So as a server admins, we will work with virtual machines in Azure. And we need to understand what do we need in order to create our virtual machine, which components, which resources they are needed in order that we successfully deploy our VMs and our applications to run smoothly. Once the VMs are deployed, we need to go on and manage them. So all these processes, which we've done already in the on-premises environment, such as monitoring, updating, troubleshooting, high availability, backup, restore, disaster recovery, will now change. Some concepts are pretty much similar, and we will see what is different. And at the end, we will look at some next steps. Where do we start learning, and how to prepare to moving our infrastructure in the Azure. So we have been doing this on-premises servers for quite a long time. We have been doing monitoring and management, deployment. We have been doing planning for on-premises infrastructure, planning for our data centers, then disaster recovery data centers. We have been planning quite a lot, purchasing hardware equipment licenses. So this is going to change now, because many of these things will not be part of our job anymore. This is because IT is always evolving. In my beginning career as an IT admin, I was always questioning myself, will something be more powerful from the mainframe computer? And how could possibly personal computers replace that infrastructure? And now we have completely modern workplace, and we have a lot of devices and mobiles that they all work together, they all connect to the cloud, share data, and messaging and collaboration. So it's completely new technology from the years in the past. So as the IT evolves, we evolve as well. So we are the people who learn the new technologies, get ahead, and then deploy our technologies in the company and bring success to our companies with the new technologies. So for me, since I have been a trainer for more than 15 years, the key of success is always to learn. To take the new technology, put it in the pilot test environment, see how it can help my company to bring more success, and then go deploy it into the production. So as in the past, we had a lot of old systems working together with the new systems. Now, of course, we will still have our on-premises systems who are still not ready or still need more time that we bring them in the Azure. So with the best knowledge and with the learning all the time as the IT evolves, we stay ahead. We are always competitive with our knowledge, and we can offer our expertise to any organization. As cloud started to evolve, I tried a lot to see the differences between the job roles that will be in the past, in the on-premises, and job roles in the cloud. So as many people were a little bit afraid, how will my job now evolve when cloud came up, you will easily see that there is a lot of work in the cloud as well. I have seen many companies hiring even more people because their infrastructure needs more work now in the cloud. So one, let's say, medium to enterprise organization typically has, from the IT pro perspective, these three kinds of profiles of people. People focused on the server management, people focused on the networks, and people focused on security. Of course, small and medium companies, they have everything maybe in one small team and even maybe a couple of people, depending on the size. Now, in the cloud, the job role description doesn't change. If you have seen this week's announcements from the Microsoft Learning, they describe the new certifications on Azure. And if you take a look of those certifications that are based on the job roles, you can see that the job roles are pretty much the same. Just the infrastructure is not hosted by us. It's in Azure. So all the tasks we have been doing are pretty much the same. The server admins keep working with the servers, managing the servers, and then the network people manage now virtual networks in Azure, and the security take care of the threat management and of the compliance policy of the data and servers which are located in the cloud. Whenever we introduce some solution, we do a lot of planning. This is, I always recommend to everyone, to my students or to people which I work with or with the customers, that planning is the focus. 95% of our work for the new solution or upgrade or migration is planning. We need to go to each and every detail of our solution in order to provide more smoother migration without any unwanted situations. So as we do same in our on-premises environment, we plan, let's say, to build some application, and then we try to estimate the hardware performance that is needed. We try to estimate high availability, disaster recovery for that application, how much critical is it. It is pretty much similar now. So now the virtual machines are in the cloud, but we still need to provide performance for virtual machines. We have a network in the cloud, but we still need to provide load balancing for our web application located in the cloud. The application and the servers are in the cloud. We still need to have a backup and restore for any unwanted situations. So you see, as a server admins, our job role is the same. We just shift our focus now on premises to the cloud. Whenever we plan our whole solution, we go all the way from the operating system, disks, networking. So we include people from networking, we include the business stakeholders to tell us how much critical is that application. We include security people to strengthen all the aspects of the potential vulnerability of the solution. Now let's imagine we are server admins and we need now to deploy our solution. So where do we start? We need to see how the machines in Azure are built. how the network is built, how the security is configured. So we need to go into same planning step that we were discussing earlier. As a first thing we ask ourselves, now the machines are not on premises anymore, not in our data centers. So what do I do? Where do I start? So all the management tools as a first starting point can be found in the Azure portal. Everyone can start we can start a free trial and start exploring how to create different types of the infrastructure and servers in the Azure. So the graphical user interface is the first component that we use as a management for our servers. The second one is the PowerShell. So the first two are pretty much close to what we do today. We use graphical user interfaces for managing our servers, they're physical or they're virtual. And then we use PowerShell also to automate our tasks for the server management. So something that we haven't seen before is the Azure command line interface, which helps us to script a lot of the virtual server management tasks. So this interface can be run from different types of operating system, since Azure supports multiple types of the vendors for operating system, not just the Windows servers. Many of the components of the Azure are also stored as a templates. So we need to create it one from the start. So the templates are written in JSON or can be created in the Visual Studio. So we can run them and create different type of configurations. Also, our developer team can join us in planning our infrastructure and then can use SDKs or they can use REST APIs in order to access the data stored in the cloud. So the first thing as a server admin, the first thing actually we do is take a look at the infrastructure, how we built it. So the infrastructure in Azure is built on resources. So we need resources to create our virtual machines, to create our networks. And these resources are building blocks of our solution. Resources can be networks, can be virtual machines, can be disk drives, anything we usually do anyway with our on-premises infrastructure. Azure portal has a marketplace, so we can choose different kind of resources, but not just by Microsoft, but also by the third-party vendors. So you can find plenty of servers, different kind of operating systems, network devices, storage solutions. The resources, same as we use them, and then with decommissioning in the reality, can be then created and deleted. So the next concept as a server admin, as an on-premises server admin, we need to know is as Azure Resource Manager. So all the resources that we need to try together, and they're used to build the Azure virtual machines or a solution, are grouped in a resource group. So Resource Manager is used to do all the management tasks. Let's say we are building a virtual machine. So virtual machine is one kind of resource. So virtual machine needs disk drives. Virtual machine needs network equipment. We need to provide connectivity to different on-premises or Azure components. So this is how we create a resource group. This is one of the key concepts and components when we manage our servers in Azure. Why we need the resource group? Because it provides complete container for our lifecycle of the machines. Similar as in on-premises environment, when we have our own virtual machines or physical machines, and they have their components and lifecycle, here in Azure, it is the same. So as you can see, the many concepts are similar, no matter that we are going to move to Azure. Azure resources can be configured roles-based access control, which means I can completely define in detail who has access to create them, to manage them, or to delete them. Then after that, role-based access control is applied. Then we can create logs that they can be analyzed to see who is using these resources. The resources can be applied with the tags, which means that we are able to differentiate between different resources, and we can measure the usage of the resources. Why is this? Because all the resources we use in Azure are paid subscriptions. So we must evaluate our cost of ownership of Azure resources comparing to the on-premises environment. And in the resource manager, we can define templates that can help us very easily and very fast to build our resources. So another component that we manage as a server admins and that is different from our own server environment is the storage account, which is a container that has all different types of storage we need. So in Azure, comparing to the on-premises environment, we can have a different types of storage that we access. Now, during the planning process of migrating our on-premises infrastructure to the Azure, I need to define which kind of storage I'm going to use. So you see components of the Azure disk storage. I can have blobs, which is typically used for the raw data. It can be huge amount of data, non-structural data. So I don't need server for that. I can put it in a blob. I can have storage in files, which can also serve as a file server, which supports also the SMB protocol without need to create file servers comparing to the on-premises infrastructure. I can define disks, and we will see how disks are defined as a components in virtual machines in the next slides. Developers can use queues for some backlog of asynchronous operations and applications they use, and for all the data which is needed for the tables. Tables are structured data, but they don't need the power and complexity of the SQL Server type of relation databases. Now, each virtual machine that we need to manage into Azure needs to be added with we should be added disks. The disks are installed by default when you create a virtual machine. However, we said we need to plan carefully our virtual machines, how many disks they will have. So typically, installing a new virtual machine creates two types of disk. One has operating system on it, and another one has the temporary disk. Temporary disk typically stores the page files, and it's removed automatically by Azure. So we don't recommend storing any user data there. Then the data disks and additional disks that can be added to our virtual machine and then managed as well. Now, once the machine is equipped with CPU and with the memory and disk, the next step is, as a server admins, we try to work with our networking department, and we try to define what kind of network we are going to use. So the main component that we need to understand as on-premise servers admins is the virtual network. Again, as the disk, we put virtual network in a resource group. The virtual network provides communication between the servers and between all endpoints that use network in Azure. Virtual network can have multiple subnets, and then virtual network can connect locally resources in Azure, but also on-premises. There are a couple of solutions for on-premise connections. If we need just the number of the personal computers or to any kind of servers to connect to the Azure servers, then we will create point-to-site VPN. Another type of connection is site-to-site, when we create connections from all our network to our Azure servers. And at the end is the offering from the partners who provide direct connection to the Azure. This connection express route doesn't go on the internet. So you see, as a server admin, step by step, we combine our solution that will be completed and run into Azure. Another couple of other concepts for our colleagues from the networking department, or if you are in the IT department that also works with the networks. Network filtering provides some kind of protection and the control of the traffic that goes between the servers, and they are called network security groups. However, Azure is a platform where other vendors also can offer their solutions. So instead of having network security groups, you might purchase the security device virtualized in Azure, maybe your preferred vendor that you have it as a physical device in your current infrastructure. Now you can use that as a virtual appliance as well. So you can purchase it from the Azure Marketplace, configure your security, and networking people can configure it, and then it can be used to protect your servers in the cloud as well. Routing typically between networks into Azure is done automatically. However, you are free to create your own routing tables to manage the IP addresses in Azure. And you can also configure Boardware Gateway Protocol, typically used when you have multiple connections from the company to Azure, so the best route is chosen. And at the end, each virtual machine must have its own network interface, which is also an object part of the resource group in Azure. So you see, as we do completion of our purchasing procedure in on-premises environment, this is similar how we do our completion into the Azure environment. We just complete our building blocks and we are ready to run our virtual machines. So managing VMs in Azure also has a similar concept as into the on-premises environment. So we still need to take care of monitoring of the good performance for our applications. We still need to take care of the correct security rules and access rules for our network, and still need to take care of the performance and of the applications. So when we are ready with the resources for the virtual machine, some of the components need to be defined as well. Name of the application resources, the application we put on a virtual machine, the location where the resources are stored. Why? Comparing to on-premises world, now I have option to store my virtual machines in multiple locations because Azure runs data centers in multiple locations throughout the world. So depending on my company policy or maybe on my country policy, I put my servers in different locations depending on the compliance and legal regulations. The size of the VM is chosen based on our estimation, as based on our measurements of how application runs. If you go to the Azure Marketplace, you will find plenty of virtual machine choices, different operating systems, different vendors, and virtual machines who are optimized for general computing, for graphical computing, for high-speed computing. And of course, each of these has different price. So once we choose our virtual machines, we are ready, and we add all these building blocks. We are ready to run that machine and to configure it appropriately. Now, these are a couple of examples in different interfaces how we build our virtual machine once we complete all the components. So we have completed disks, we have completed the network, we have chosen appropriate CPU memory, and we are ready to create. You see the graphical interface of creation of virtual machine, and also PowerShell command on the right down, and on the left is the command line interface. Another step that we might do as a server admins is to perform the image creation of some of the virtual machines. Why is that? Because the virtual machines, we might need multiple of them, and we might need to have very fast deployment of some virtual machines and provisioning in some locations. So one of the options is that to run sysprep on that virtual machine. And you can see following the commands that actually complete the creation of the image. First, we need to deallocate, we need to stop the Azure virtual machine. Once it is stopped, we need to generalize the virtual machine and create the image with these PowerShell commands, where we put the name of the image we have created already. Now this image is ready, and we can run and we can multiple this image to different locations. Some of the most often management tasks of the servers in Azure is creating virtual machine. If application developers, they might use REST APIs to connect and to do the development on the virtual machine. Then we, as server admins, go typically to the remote desktop protocol and 3389 port in order to manage virtual machines. We can use also PowerShell and connect remotely to do management tasks. We can resize the virtual machine. We might see that our plan for the solution was not estimated well. So which means we need to resize the machines in order to provide our customers with better experience. And we might use scale sets that provide automatic or manual scaling of the virtual machine if the better scale out is needed. Which are the performance and management tasks we perform on our disks in Azure? So we said that each operating system and each virtual machine has operating system disk and temporary disk. Then data disk is added for different purposes. Types of the disk depend on our need for the performance. We can have HDD drives, but we can also have SSD drives for better performance. So we can have HDD, standard SSD, and premium SSD with the highest IOPS. Depending on the application needs, this performance is adjusted according to our needs. So this can be attached similar as we do that in our on-premises environment. So you might notice plenty of the management tasks are similar. Some concepts are new that we need to learn. However, the challenge for moving into the Azure is not that scary as someone think. Now, for the networking people that want to provide high availability for the application of the company, there is a load balancer option that we can provide. The default Azure load balancer is working on level 4 on TCP and UDP protocols. But we are also free to purchase from the marketplace different types of load balancer if we need different kind or different type of capacity of the load balancing. As in the on-premises environment, the load balancer connects through the network interfaces defined in Azure virtual machines. Now, in on-premises environment, we spend a lot of time and effort about the high availability. So depending on the solution, we create clusters, and then again, cluster solutions might be different. Different type of the witness components. We might need to disperse our servers in multiple locations, in multiple cities. So how does work this management task in Azure? So it's a little bit different. Depending again on the solution, in Azure there are availability sets configured. So availability sets provide high availability for the machines that are underlying of our virtual machines, for the physical component. So as we have in our on-premises environment, we have our fault domains, which somebody also calls single point of failure. So this is the component when it fails, the solution will not work anymore. These are a couple of failure domains as well here. So we have update domain, which means if physical machine is updated, in that case, our virtual machine that is located there might not work. And it's fault domain, so it's the physical machine goes down. In that case, also the virtual machines located on that physical machine will not work. So that's why if we choose the high availability sets in Azure, in that case, our machines are distributed across, by default, 5 update domains and 3 fault domains. What does it mean? If I have 5 servers, and I need to provide high availability, and I choose availability sets, then my 5 virtual machines will be distributed among 5 hardware components and servers and storage. As you remember, as on-premises server managers, whenever we create a cluster, it's not logical that we put the cluster servers on one storage, because in that case, our storage is a fault domain, single point of failure. Even the storage is redundant component, as a redundant solution, it's just one. So for some reason, it might not work, then all our virtual machines that use the storage will be not working, no matter that if they are configured with high availability. So that's why this availability solution provides distributing our servers on different hardware components in Azure. There are also options for disaster recovery if we want to make sure that even it is a rare possibility, but we want to protect that some of the zones in the regions of Azure for some reason do not work. We can also configure high availability across the zones, so our data is distributed in different zones in the regions. Before we go to the backup component, just to remind that as a part of the planning process, we need to see if this high availability solution is supported in Azure. So whenever I plan any solution in Azure, I always have to check, is it supported? Is this cluster component supported, or do we need to have network load balancing? Is that supported? And you can read that on the product itself. So you can do backup in Azure through the vendor solution or using the Azure backup. And we can backup our virtual machines. We need to create another component, which is a backup vault. And in that component, our backups are stored. How does it work? You might notice that a volume shadow copy service is running underneath in the virtual machine. So the Azure backup creates one snapshot. Then data is transferred to the vault, and after that one, the snapshot is removed. Restore, since we might configure, as in on-premises environment, we can configure snapshot points on regular time schedules. Then recovery points are created. So when we do the restore, we need to choose which recovery point we want to restore, and then restore the appropriate files or the complete virtual machine. And again, I will repeat, I need to have a statement from the vendor of the solution that this kind of backup or restore is supported for that appropriate solution. Then Azure, one of the also great benefits of Azure is having a multiple monitoring and analysis tools built in already. So we don't need to deploy, as we have done in our on-premises environments. We don't need to deploy third-party products or any kind of products that do agent or agentless monitoring. So provide us with different dashboards where we can see the CPU, memories, or other types of the measurement components, and we can decide, do we need any change in our design of the on-premises infrastructure. So here we have plenty of tools that might tell us about any issues happening in our Azure virtual servers. Diagnostics from the boot of the operating system, metrics of the machine, and we can also define different types of alerts that can inform us if some threshold is over limits, that we need to do some intervention in point of adding more virtual machines or adding more resources. Also, Windows Update is managed through Azure, so we can also configure that one. That also provides management of all our virtual servers and updating our virtual servers as it was in the past. Another component that we didn't have in on-premise environment is Azure Key Vault, which is a place that we can store security-related data, such as certificates, password tokens, or even if you want to deploy the certificates for encrypting or digital signing of our data used in Azure, we can use the Key Vault as a secure place for storing and certificate provisioning and management. Another component that we have in Azure is the Security Center, and it also provides out-of-the-box multiple security-related reports and alerts for any potential threats. We are able to use the anti-malware for Azure for our servers, and also the virtual disk encryption that is another step in protecting our data for any unintentional access. Okay, and another component that we also need to take a look, which maybe it was not that much applied in our everyday job with the on-premises components, is the resource governance. What does it mean? So now, with every new year, we have plenty of new regulations about protection of the data of the users. Many companies work with sensitive data, and they have very strict regulation policies. So as a result of that, we need to protect our data and be compliant. How do we store our data and how we protect our data? And is it according to the different regulations or world or standards? So that's why we can assign a role to users, use the role-based access control. In the on-premises environment, it was pretty much component that was divided in multiple technologies. So we had Active Directory. So in Exchange, we have one role-based access control. In Skype for Business, we had another role-based access control. And in SharePoint, something else. So it was pretty much a place where we needed to configure all these retention policies and settings and role-based configuration on multiple places. Now we have everything on a central place, so all our resources that we use as a server admins are protected from different types of actions. Another type of the benefit we have with managing machines in Azure is the tagging. So we can tag our resources, and we can see and have measurements how much they are used and how many we have spent, because the financial department will see now the change in the billing. In the past, we have spent money on buying servers, hardware, licenses, and so on. And now we have subscription. So depending on the subscription model, there will be different charges. And financial department will want to know approval. Are those charges really, really justified? Some of the components and some of the tasks as the server admins we might do is we might create scripts to stop the virtual servers or any resources that are not used when the company works at home. Of course, some of the machines run continuously, so they must run. However, if we do a lot of test deployment, pilot deployment, and we actually don't test it after working hours, it is a good point that we create any kind of scripts that will shut down all these resources in order that we don't spend the compute power and don't generate additional expenses. And also the VM governance is a new thing that we might think of. Why is that? Because now virtual machines can be located in multiple regions. Some companies and some countries do not allow their data or their compute devices, servers to be located outside their country or maybe outside their continent. So in that case, we must locate our virtual machines in specific locations where Azure offers us, which are closest to us. We must prove that we have protected our resources, and we must prove that we comply with our work through the different types of the regulations. So we have discussed building blocks of the Azure. As an on-premises server admins, how does our life changes? So we have seen components that we need to learn in order to build the virtual servers in Azure. We have seen the networking components that we need to learn in order to provide network connectivity between the machines. We have seen the typical management tasks of the virtual machines in the Azure environment. There's still a lot to discuss. If we discuss all the complete process, we could take maybe 4 days to sit here, because the Azure infrastructure really has large areas. For example, how about identity? So identity might be deployed by the identity team, which means, where do I log on now? My virtual machine is in Azure. Do I log on locally, or I log on in Active Directory located in Azure? Is there a hybrid connection between Azure and between the virtual machines? Azure virtual machines in my on-premises environment. So there is a lot to plan before start deploying. Of course, for testing and piloting applications, we are ready to run even now. We can create some resources, spin up a virtual machine, and see how it performs. But to create complete solution for our company, it will take some time of planning. So first step to try technology is start a free trial. So the free trial can be found on following link, and we are able to explore multiple types of the virtual machines, different types of network devices, different types of security devices. It's really a huge number of choices we can have. It's like entering into a store with a lot of hardware equipment, and we can choose whatever we want in order to test. Learning Azure can be found plenty of resources on this link. And also, we need to do, there is also an Azure advisor that can help us in order to predict our infrastructure needs for Azure and compare the cost with current and the future plans, so on-premises and Azure infrastructure. And for the end, starting with Azure doesn't mean that we will get rid of our on-premises servers even tomorrow. There are plenty of work and gradual migration process for moving our servers to Azure. There are a lot of dependencies. There are a lot of custom applications, third-party applications that still need to be stored on premises. But with starting with some of them, we might start moving our infrastructure in the cloud. So start the free trial, take a look at these docs, take a look at the Azure sessions, and feel free to visit us at the booth in the expo hall, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you a great week at Ignite.